Everyone, Max in the house coming at you at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. How's it going, everyone? This is the second edition of Open Mic. It should be fun. We got some new people. People I don't think I've even I don't think I met one gentleman in the green room so far. This should be fun. Yeah, get to see some new people, lots of old faces as well. Just say hi to the chat. What's up, Red Squirrel? Appreciate you retweeting earlier. Oh, we got a couple people in here. Okay. Who else we got? Jerry, Crypto Winter Bull. That's who I'm about to meet for the first time. I think so. I might have been on chat with him before, but we'll see. Hey, Max, would you recommend a VPN for a Novus? Good question. I'm going to come back to that one. I do not like VPNs, retail VPNs, so I'll come back to that question. I'll explain why too. And let's see. Marion, welcome. Yeah, you have to catch a replay. Hope to see you at the next meetup as well. Connor is in the house. We got some good people in the green room so far. I'm excited. Yeah, tweet the link, everyone. Tag your favorite streamer. Tell them to hop on board. Should be fun. Compassion. The link, it's in the chat, man. Oh, at work. Okay. Well, you gotta take a break, man. Can't work too hard. Go in the break room for like 15 minutes. Come on, talk to us. Or just listen in the background. That's fine too. What's up, Alley Bull Rush? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Great time the other night. T-Rex. Y'all want to see some bowling in a T-Rex outfit, costume, legit. Making some pins go down. That was super fun the other night. Him and astronaut. We had an astronaut party the other day too. Super fun at bowling. Come get me, aliens. Welcome. GIF. The answer is yes. But time it in like 15 minutes because I got a full panel so far I'm about to bring in. But yes, please come. Definitely want to hear from the Gifford Ware, the most knowledgeable person in Hedron. Waiting for Sloth to speak up real quick if he's in the chat and be like, no, you can't say that. Anyways, everyone, Hex Huddle, welcome. Without further ado, I'm going to bring in the first panel. I'm going to do 3 at a time. Should I get Jerry in there? Jerry, wait like 10 minutes because, okay. Wait 10 minutes because I'm going to try to keep it 4 people at a time. But first guest, he had the chat link first. That's why I came first today. Just Ask Jesky. Welcome to the show.
How are you?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Always good to see you. Always good to read your tweets. Jesse has some of the best tweets, like information-wise. Like, he has some funny ones too, but like if you want to learn, I've definitely learned a lot from Jesse. So always appreciate you joining us, man. PulseStream is here. What's up, PulseStream?
How are you doing? I'm good.
What's happening, man? Good to see you. And Crypto Winter Bull, a new gentleman to me. Welcome, sir.
How are you doing?
Doing good, man. I like your name, Winter Bull. It's a lot of imagery in that. I like it.
Yeah, bullish in the crypto winter, that's for sure.
Dude, perma-bull in this ecosystem. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, I don't think maybe not a lot of people know PulseStream, Crypto Winter. You guys want to do a quick intro to yourselves, just in case people are not familiar?
Yeah, I can go.
Yeah.
So basically, my introduction into crypto was 2016, 2017. My friend told me about Bitcoin, so we started messing around on PulseX and a couple other sketchy exchanges. Didn't do too much money, but I ended up making a little bit and then losing it all at 2017. Bought the top. I kind of left crypto alone for the last couple of years. I didn't participate in the last bull market. I just kind of studied other markets, looked into real estate, stocks, precious metals, that kind of stuff, and then realized that they're kind of net negative or zero-sum games, except for real estate. I like real estate, but so now I'm just jumping in crypto and kind of going head first and doubling down this cycle.
Cool. How'd you hear about the RH ecosystem?
Actually, I was watching Richard Hart in 2017 while I was participating in all these other scam ICO coins. And it wasn't until February of this year that I was like, hey, maybe I should check out RH again. And he launched his product already. And I'm like, oh, God, I missed it.
Oh, that's cool. That's
I
a cool
missed the
story.
launch.
I don't hear a lot of people that like watched him before and then came back and was like, oh God, he's doing Hex thing. Oh, that's cool. Like that's an interesting story, man.
Yeah. I just
Cool.
kind of thought crypto was a scam last cycle, so I didn't participate, and now I'm just like, yeah, everything else is a scam.
Cool, man. Yeah, and once you get an ecosystem, you kind of feel that way. I understand. Cool, man. Cool,
Yeah.
man. Well, welcome. PulseChain.
Yeah, thank you.
What, you talk about yourself?
Yeah. So I got into crypto just a couple years ago, or I guess a year and a half ago now. It was when there was the SHIB run up and the Shiba swap when it was coming out. So I took part in some liquidity when it was good and not going too bad, and kind of learned a lot about impermanent loss and all that. And while I was, learning what DeFi was and, self custody was and all this stuff, I randomly came across the Richard Hart, Peter McCormick stream. So watched some of that. My mind was blown. This was day 6 of the Pulse sacrifice. My mind was blown watching that. And I spent probably the next 8 hours just absorbing info from Richard Hart. Sold everything else that I had in crypto. Half of it went to PLS sacrifice, half of it went to HEX. And then found out about the PulseX sacrifice. Grinded hard at work for a couple months to make a bunch of money to sacrifice for that. Did that. Now I'm here. Got a channel,
Nice, man.
make some videos. Yeah.
Nice, man. Yeah. Also a local Hexkin that we got to hang out before, and many more events to come, and they're part of the country. So super, super fun. Welcome. Glad you can make it, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you again.
Yeah. Jesse, kick us off. Like what's on top of your mind? Tell us what you want to. I got some topics, but what you want to talk about? I know you got something on your mind.
Well, the last few hours I've been studying the Lindy effect. Do you know what that is?
Oh yeah. You want to explain it for everyone? I'm very aware. Great mental model.
So it's a theory that's proven through like real life things such as Bitcoin and such as certain tech companies and such, that the longer something survives, non-perishable things, right? So not a human being, but the longer an item survives, the longer it's likely to continue surviving.
Yeah.
Right. And that's called the Lindy effect. Right. So you can't apply that to like human beings, right? Because there's a lifespan. Like the longer you live, the more likely you are to be closer to death. Right. But when applied to certain tech,
non-perishable, maybe.
Yeah, non-perishable, and tech is a great example. A lot of tech and a lot of crypto survives for a short period of time, and then it dies off. But what's shown to happen through Ethereum, Bitcoin, and some things that have longevity is the longer they continue to live, as long as that network effect keeps growing, and it is helpful for those things to remain, unchanged. Right. So if they remain unchanged and, thrive for many years, it's very likely that they'll continue to thrive for many years beyond that. That's called the Lindy effect. Now, we can think about HEX and we can say HEX is early. We're not in the Lindy effect part of HEX yet, right? We hope to someday be there where HEX has survived long enough, and we have people staked up for 15 years, so we can assume that okay, people will still be interacting and trying to pump their own bags and market and network effect for the next at least 15 years. But that 15 years keeps getting pushed out more and more and more as long as there's more people that are staking. So you could see come a point where people outside of HEX start to realize that, wait a minute, this crypto has survived when everything else has died, except for the other ones that already have the Lindy effect. So that would be Bitcoin and Ethereum and, a handful of others. we want to get into that realm. So how do we do that? Well, there's only one way to make that happen, and that's through more and more and more adoption. Right? We're not there yet. You know, we can have hopes and dreams that, you know, HEX will be a certain price by a certain date, and we're all going to be rich. But there's only one way to make that happen, and that's just continue growing the community.
Yeah, like if you could snap your fingers, what is like the number one thing that you would do for the metrics to grow the community? Like if you could just, God's here, he's like, you got one wish for the community to benefit them. What would you like, something you could manifest to happen like that would make us grow?
Well, for
Best
one, we got to play. If I could snap my finger right now and make Hexicans play nice with others, I think that would go a long way to adoption. So let me give you an example. Some people may know, I came from the military. I was a Green Beret. There's some slogans that we like to use, by, with, and through, or winning hearts and minds. Hearts and minds win wars, so on and so forth. If you were to take 12 guys, 12 Americans, and put them in the worst place you could possibly imagine in the world, where everybody just wants to kill you, and everybody's just killing each other over the stupidest reasons, you can't go in there thumping your chest and saying how you're better than everybody, and you got to listen to me because what I'm here to do is going to save you all, right? You will literally get yourself killed because they don't care. They could care less about your world. They're focused on theirs, right? So when you go into these places, you literally have to put yourself in their shoes. You have to eat what they eat, dress the way they dress. If they have a big beard, you got to grow a big beard too. You got to sit down and you got to like wine and dine with these people in the culture that they like, in the same lifestyle that they live. Put yourself all the way down in their shoes, and you have to gain that trust and build that rapport. Now you still have an agenda. You still want them to listen to you so you can train them, so they can offer you up, some fighters so you can go take back a country or do something, right? You always have an agenda, but you have to do it from an angle of building their trust and building rapport. That same principle applies everywhere, including cryptocurrency communities. You can't run around as a 2-year-old crypto and tell everyone how much better you are because you already did, a 10,000x. They don't care because that's not their world. Their world, the people you're trying to tell that to, like, all you're doing is ostracizing them because they already missed that, right? All they care about is the shit coins that they hold at that moment in time. So I'm not suggesting you go and you buy those same shit coins, but you need to at least show a little respect, or approach all these different communities, all these Telegram rooms and Twitter spaces with an open mind to what they have to say. And what you'll find is you'll actually learn a lot. You'll learn what's keeping them back from coming into the Richard Hart ecosystem. Yeah. And then you can better address what they need to hear so that you can convince them to come over, right? You can't just go in there or make tweets saying how much better we are and you suck and my PP is bigger than yours and all these different things. It literally doesn't work. So if there's one thing I could change, like if I could snap my finger and change, it would be just play nice. That's it. Play nice with others, and we will get way more adoption.
Yeah, I think there's two things. I like how you went, instead of the Thanos snap, all the haters are gone, you went to the look inward, see how you're communicating. Because when you're talking to other communities, there's, when you're talking to Hexicans versus other communities, it's a totally different language. Like even when you're tweeting, when you're writing, when you're speaking, when you're in Telegram groups, the one thing is having perspective, connecting with other communities and things. But even your tweets, even your outbound messaging has to, not be ostracizing, not be showing them things that now, they already missed it. Like you said, they already missed that part. There's nothing really to draw them in other than you need to start speaking their language. So yeah, two different ways of communication. I like that.
Now, when we're together, as our own, like in our own Telegram rooms and such, yeah, we can fist bump and we can make fun of, shit coins, and we can do all these things that teams that have a lot in common do, right? You see the same behaviors in sports teams or in military teams, where when they're together as a team, they bump their chests and they act like they're the biggest thing on earth, and they have a good time. But these people normally, when they're, communicating with others that are external to their team, they show a lot of humility, and they put themselves in other people's shoes, and people respect them for that. Like it's a sign, or, you could say that's what good leadership is all about. Knowing your environment and putting yourself in that environment.
Crypto Winter Bull, what do you think, having been, coming from Richard Cena back then, coming back in the community, what are, do you agree with what Jesse's saying, or what do you think are some of the easy wins we can get in the community for just, not walking all over ourselves?
Yeah, I agree with what Jesse's saying for sure. I haven't really dove into too many other communities to try to promote HEX. The one thing I am trying to understand more is like how to get people like from the real world into cryptocurrency through HEX, more than like other people's angle of getting other communities within crypto. So I'm just curious on Jesse's take on like, what are some angles that you can use for like trying to get people into the HEX ecosystem that aren't actually in crypto yet?
Well, crypto is really hard for new people, right? I don't know of a good way to fix that, right? It literally is hard to teach. So I'll share something. My best friend recently passed, like just a short while ago, just over a month ago. And I realized that, okay, he's got a lot of crypto, and his son or his ex-wife and kid, they have no idea how to access it. There's nobody to teach them, and I don't want them to get wrecked, right? So here I am teaching no coiners how to start a Coinbase, how to start a MetaMask address, how to do that safely with a hardware wallet, how to send from one to another. Like every little thing about it is so extremely new to them. And I'm not saying that they're not catching on. They're very fast learners, but there's just hours and hours and hours of information to teach them. Right now, it's easy to just point people towards, a website and say, "Oh, go read it." If you want to learn how to do it, you're gonna have to put in the work, okay? Because most of us just put in the work ourselves. But when it involves friends or family, like that's a little disingenuous to them, because they're gonna get themselves wrecked. They're gonna lose all their money, and we just don't want to see that happen. In particular, with friends and family. So there's nothing like, there's no way around it, man. It's just a lot of time, because there's no easy way to get people into crypto and have them learn how to do it right.
Yeah.
You've got to dedicate hours, like minimum 10 hours with some follow-up calls to make sure they, remember everything they wrote down and took notes about and are still doing it right. Minimum 10 hours to teach somebody how to do it right.
I had a friend that he went to buy some HEX. He's had some back and forth on all this stuff, but he like, oh, I don't know where I put my seed words. I'm like, dude, last time we spoke and you did PulseChain sacrifice and you did PulseX sacrifice, I told you, write them down, make backups, do put them just save them. This is like, we're not at the security part of it. We're just like, don't lose them at this point. And he like had a panic attack. He literally was like, "Oh my god! Like, can you, did you make a copy?" I'm like, "I really try not to do that. I think I had it for a while just in case, but then after the second or third sacrifice, I thought he had his stuff together." And so I'm looking through old phones and I'm looking through trying to find messages and all this stuff. And finally, he's like, "Oh my gosh, I found it! It was in this stack of business cards that I hid away." I'm like, "Do not hide stuff from yourself. That is an easy way to get a panic attack." But now he got it. He didn't have a safe, so now he has a safe, and now he's going to try to put important stuff in there. But just talking on Jesse's point, it's like a lot of people don't have. It's it takes a lot of focus, takes a lot of time to even understand how this stuff works and actually trade and get your bearings about investing, let alone even hang on to such important things, because it's magic internet money to most people. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'll put some money in, it'll be fine." But it's not usually the case in crypto. PulseChain, what's been have you tried to onboard people and like have they just like railed against it? Like what has been your experience like trying to get people out of crypto that haven't been in crypto in it, and maybe from other communities in HEX?
Yeah, so frustrating to onboard people and try to do it properly. We talk about how difficult it really is to do this thing properly. If you want to make it simple and dumb and not what any of us preach, there's the crypto.com centralized exchange stuff, which I'm not a fan of. I try to get everybody on the ledger right away when we start. One of the first things I tell people is, your seed words, you got to treat those like your social security, your birth certificate, the deed to your house, your DNA, everything. Like, somebody gets a hold of that stuff, you're wrecked. They can be you. That is the identity theft. It's so much easier in crypto if you're not careful with your seed words. They get those, everything's gone. Congratulations. Someone that had onboarded, ended up going on Telegram and asking questions. They got a DM from somebody, and they got a little wrecked there for a bit.
Tricky, man. There's people who will start relationship. They'll message you a month beforehand, not say anything weird. They'll message you to establish a relationship, make sure you have that message in your inbox, and then they'll message you again. And now they already got that with you. So it's super tricky. I have to do double takes.
That's always like my first thing is like, this is what this is. Treat this like your life depends on it, because it doesn't, but your financial life could end up depending on this. So put it in something indelible, put it somewhere safe, a safe, whatever you want to do. And then we were talking about the whole, treat people outside of the community with respect thing if you want to attract people. Holy crap, this last month or so with the Zen stuff has been driving me nuts. There's a few people, influencers on Twitter, that I've been going after that are just pissing me off beyond belief with how much disrespect they're shown to people just because they're doing something that costs $5. And if anybody's going to invest in anything, I'm only in RH stuff that I put money into, but let people do what they want with their money. It's like, you don't need to belittle them. You don't need to make them feel stupid or say shit that's not true. Just like, let them do what they want to do, while also not wrecking themselves. Encourage them to do proper things, but you don't need to tear people down to try to make a point. And you become, to me, very insignificant and annoying when you do that. I don't know if you've seen some of the tweets, but with some people that were doing that stuff. But yeah, I was going off for a while. It was bothering me a lot.
I use the mute button liberally on Twitter. It's great because it's passive and it's reversible. It's, you can still DM and you can still see the stuff. You can still see the tags. You don't need to block people. Just mute them for a while. Take a break.
Great. You know what else I've been thinking about? Somebody just reminded me of US dollars by saying USD in a bank account is not your coins. Only the ones in your own wallet that you have the seed for. And there's a lot of fuss about inflation lately, and it's probably out of control a bit. But imagine if there was not inflation, at least that proportionally to some extent matched like all the new people being born. It would get insane, right? Because it would actually be hard to get your hands on a dollar. Imagine, paying $10 to buy a car. Does that make sense?
No.
Like it doesn't make any sense at all, right? Or like fractions of a penny to buy a pack of bubble gum or something, right? So you have to have some sort of inflation with a currency, that's tied to all the people in existence that are going to use it. Where that balance is, we all think that we're experts at it. We can only hope that, the people who control the decision making for that are trying to do what's right for everybody. Now, I'm not saying that runaway inflation is okay, because that's also bad. But zero inflation is also bad, for a governmental currency. One thing the dollar has going for it is it has infinite liquidity.
Yeah.
So you can buy anything in the world that you want with a dollar, right? You will never have a worry that you won't be able to get all your money out. You can buy a pack of bubble gum. You can buy HEX with it. You can buy a car with it. You can do whatever the heck you want. And somebody's going to, for the most part, somebody's going to accept your dollar. You can get rid of it for anything else that you want. That is not the case with anything else in the world. It's not the case with Bitcoin. It's not the case with HEX. It's not the case with any other currency besides the dollar. You do have, if you think about stable coins and how a good stable coin is 100% backed, fully redeemable, okay? Well, to think about that concept of, and say, well, what are most cryptos? Most cryptos have a giant market cap and a tiny liquidity pool. And I'm not just speaking about one crypto. I'm talking about all of them. You can go look at Link or HEX, or you can look at Sheeb. It's like, oh, wow, look at billions and billions of dollars of market cap, all these people holding, and, hopefully there's never a race to the door, because, the actual value it's all been extracted already. All that's left is a little bit. And that's not the case with the dollar. Now, Bitcoin has had the opportunity over 14 years. By the way, it's like the birthday of Bitcoin, I think.
Oh,
but it's had that.
Bitcoin.
It's had, or the white paper, I think. Now, it's had the opportunity for 14 years to grow. So it's the reason why people call it the daddy crypto at the moment is because it has liquidity everywhere you look in the crypto sphere. Every single exchange, you can trade just about any crypto you want for it. You can trade it out for US dollar, fiat dollars. You can get it you can buy or sell it at, ATM machines now. There are various places, and more places are accepting it. So it's like, okay, the liquidity, the use of it is starting to become everywhere you look. And that's not the case with others. Now, that's the hope with Ethereum and with HEX and so on and so forth. If we ever want HEX to compete with Bitcoin, it has to be everywhere. You have to be able to go to every single exchange and see it and have a way to exchange with it. If you ever wanted to compete with a dollar, like some people like RG3, the dollar's going to shit, HEX is going to replace the dollar. Okay. Well, if we want to see that happen, you've got to be able to trade HEX with everything on earth, including a bicycle or a pack of gum.
It'd be very interesting. USDC's kind of strong entry. It's not monopoly pay, but it's like this first mover advantage, maybe you'd call it, because it's kind of piggybacking off the USD. Everyone's familiar with it, trade with everything, and the digital version of that could be USDC. It could be something else. Interesting to see. But I've got two gentlemen in the green room. That means we get to play a game. All the current panel, you get to pick a number, and if you pick the magic number, you get to drop off back to the green room or wherever you'd like to go, and I can cycle you back in, or you can just call it a night. So anyways, start with Jesse and go around. Everyone pick a number. I've got the first winning number here, and we'll go from there. 1 to 10. 1 to 10.
All right.
You don't want to win, by the way. You don't want to win.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe you do. I don't know. You say 9?
9.
9. Okay. Pull string.
3.
Winter.
6.
Magic number's 3.
See you
Full
guys.
stream. If you hang out in the green room, we'll sock you back in, or otherwise just watch. But thanks for coming on, man. Maybe I'll see you back.
Good to see you guys. Bye.
Hey, do you have a YouTube channel, Pulse Stream?
He does. I'll post a Pulse Stream YouTube channel. All right, we got 2 more people in the green room. We got 1 more to go. Pick your magic number, gentlemen. You get to go again, Jesse.
Okay. 3.
Okay. Winter.
7.
Number 6. Winter. You can hang out in the green room or come back. We can cycle you back in, but I appreciate you coming either way.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah. Check me out on at Crypto Winter Bull on YouTube.
Thanks for reminding me. Yeah. Yes. I got to ask people to show their stuff. Yes. Crypto Winter Bull on YouTube. And you got Twitter? Anything else?
I'm at HEX Winter Bull on Twitter.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, great to see you. Thanks for coming. And like I said, if you want to come back in, just hang out in the green room or come back. We'll cycle you back in whenever you want.
Perfect. Thank you. See you, Jesse.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. All right, Jesse, you survived. I think the chat manifested it. You were saying some. They liked what you were talking. That you were talking real good. We got Jerry Oaksmith. He's perma driving, like perma bull. He's perma driving. And we also got Crypto Kool-Aid. What's happening? These 2 gentlemen have been waiting for like 25 minutes. So they're stamina. You got stamina on this Tuesday night. Appreciate it.
All the support, sir. All the support.
Yes. Jerry is a local Washington Hexagon. We tend to do these baller meetups every once in a while. They tend to turn out pretty good. So yeah, man, Jerry, you want to, and he got a shout out from Kinetics the other day. Apparently, one of Kinetics' favorite Hexagons, Jerry Oaksmith.
Yeah, Kool-Aid, you were on there. You were there that night when my son Mason and I came on.
Yes. Yeah. Totally. What's going on, brother?
Not a lot. How are you?
Doing good. I was in Seattle for 2.5, 3 years. In the gaming industry, I basically move every 3 years. So where are you at in the PNW? Out Seattle side, or?
I am south of Seattle in Tacoma. I lived in Seattle like 41 years, and then saw opportunity. I'm in the real estate business and construction business, and I saw a lot of opportunity down in the Tacoma area in about 2014, and was flipping houses and doing that stuff, and trying to get into more buying and holding, which I've been doing, and I just can't afford the big money up in Seattle. There's a lot of guys up there with deep pockets, man, and those guys with deep pockets are coming down here too. So it's a very competitive market. I'm sad to say this out loud, but the recession is good for me. It's the time where I pick things up. Whether it's HEX, property, or Great Wolf Lodge lowering their prices to $99 so I can afford to go.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but we all got to do our best, and it's part of the cycles we've all experienced, depending on how old you are. But it's coming again, and I'm watching the money, the bills, and trying to lower my bills and get ready in case things are a little bit challenging.
Sure. Well, the funny thing is that I said this way back when, without the vid and all of us being at home, HEX wouldn't have exploded as much as it did. There has to be a perfect storm for perfect things to happen. And that is how things align and move forward. Like my first stimmy check went into HEX. And then I watched the captain, and then I watched the community, and I was helping build behind the scenes. And it wasn't until Staker app came out that I moved my first self-directed 401k in. And that bought the lion's share of anything that I have. But it takes the time in the right position, whether it's recession or positive movement, growth in where you are, or having the utility and time to actually pay attention to things. And sometimes the universe is kind of crazy when it gives those opportunities if you actually listen and jump on board.
Yeah.
Universe speaks to us. That's true. I wanted to ask too the meme, when PulseChain. I mean, it's kind of a meme at this point. We don't know when it's coming. Maybe it's close. Maybe it's not. But I just wanted to. I don't think anyone talks about like the why it's so important to people.
Please, if you want to explain it, I'll do it. But yes, it's so ludicrous that people don't understand how moving the consensus is so important.
Well, not even the technical side of it. I was going to go with the angle of like, it just unlocks all this sacrifice capital. There's a ton of capital locked up for individuals, for people who pulled their funds together, for people who, they sacked in different ways and different times. Not just Pulse and PulseX.
You better be careful.
Loans, all the Mintra. Oh,
People
yeah.
Also, liquid
All the people who had no expectations.
People are going to say you're fudding.
No, it's not funny.
Oh no. It's going to get us into a mini bull run in the RH ecosystem.
Well, it's not only that. So if we look at like what ETHW and ETHF does, it's what I would call paper trading real positions versus a testnet. It's real money. You can fuck around with that with real money. You can inject real money into it and see what's going on and what happens. But there is no innovation on the chain ever. It's never going to change. ETH Classic never changed. But in game dev world, we deal with engines, we deal with updates and all the rest of that. So we'll branch, which is what people can call forks, and then we'll cherry pick what we bring back in, because if the game engine or something changes something dramatic, it breaks the whole thing. So we have to be careful on what we bring through. And then that's just within a localized version of a game engine, let's say Unreal 4. But if you go to Unreal 5, you're changing everything. The entire wheel spins. So when we were forking Binance Smart Chain, we were forking the old ideals of ETH 1.0. Now that we're in ETH 2.0 and that entire system, we're now forking the next engine, and we're able to branch all the other things that they change and do back into our ecosystem and cherry pick it. Even if all that time for R&D was used to flush out the ideas, it's a good game of chess that they learn something about. And that can be applied because ETH 2.0 actually launched. They actually did something finally, probably because RH kicked them in the dick and they had to go do something about it. But now we can cherry pick that stuff. If ETH gets sharding, so do we. Everything else that it moves together.
Kool-Aid. The development team for Beacon Chain is enormous, dude. Do you know how many validators there are on ETH 2.0?
Nope.
Thousands and thousands of validators.
I mean, you only need 32 ETH to have it, right?
There's like 406,000 validators.
Sure. And that's just you need 32 ETH to do it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you take the ecosystem.
Hold on. There's committees you can join. There's like, it's kind of like a little pooling committee.
Sure.
Right? And there's reasons for that, for sharding.
Sure.
None of these people have been paying any attention to the HEX ecosystem and Richard Hart. That is not why all of a sudden ETH 2.0 is here. We've got to put that behind us because that's not true at all.
Whatever the circumstance is, just like I said, the vid allowed all the people to be at home talking on webcams and actually put their time into YouTube. Whether you want to call that a catalyst on HEX is a success, or it was convenient that all of us were home, working remote, sitting on webcams, watching that information. It is an interesting paradigm. Did I say it was the reason? No. I said it was an interesting paradigm. And so even if you take the validator side of 32 ETH, it puts a particular amount of financial weight required to become an ish validator, right? So you have to have some kind of economic mass to make it where you can't have so many uneconomic masses validators to go against the ecosystem. That's why 32 ETH was important, because ETH $1,000, 32 grand. ETH is 4K, hell of a lot more money. That's why you could take the same validation. If you look at Pulse, do the same number calculation in Crux. You don't want to do 32 Pulse, clearly, because then anyone can be a validator. But that's why that math of that number is critical.
Okay.
By the way, good to see you, Jesse.
It would, like, I can't wait till we have some sort of guidance on how to form these committees.
Agreed.
And people can start, structuring how we're going to run all these nodes that are required to run an ETH 2.0 fork.
Agreed. But also the people that are complaining don't understand the complexity and the benefit of the change that we just got gifted to us, to be on the cusp of that change and then fork that versus legacy analog.
Okay. Let's discuss, besides, most people in the audience and ourselves having sacrificed, and we just want this thing to survive because we sacrificed. Which is a valid reason.
It is. It's made for work till it's done.
Let's do what I suggested we do earlier, and we put ourselves in other people's shoes for a second. Now, when ETH 2.0 sharding comes, which is supposed to be in 2023 at some point, right? Now software's hard, right? But they've already set up all these committees. Everything's structured where when they do finally, pull the trigger on sharding, like they're already working towards it, right? So let's just pretend for a second that sharding happens in 2023. What is the narrative to convince people to come over to PulseChain? We have to be prepared with a new narrative as to why PulseChain is better, faster, cheaper, and all that. Will it be better, faster, cheaper? And this is not FUD. This is literally the reality, because around the corner is, sharding. Whenever that happens, and when that happens, what's left? What is our narrative?
I don't disagree with you. So let's take the one thing. And so when we were using Binance Smart Chain, and again, I am a developer, but that encompasses all of game dev. People use the word wrong. I'm an architect. I'm a systemic designer. So I do not code. Now, if we take the fact that the BSC perk was the faster transactions, well, because we now are taking the consensus from the ETH 2.0 system, I don't believe we get faster transactions anymore. So really the whole question is, how paradigm and decentralized is our narrative versus something else? What is the ways that we plug in other ecosystems that aren't beholden to the Ethereum Foundation, and or now look at all the stuff with DAI going into Coinbase? There's a lot of different fundamental variables that makes hexagons, pulsicans, liquid lonicans, all of us that came from this educated knowledge, because 99.9999% of the Ethereum people, as a huge swath, probably don't understand the tech that they're building, the community that they're building, and the use case that they're using to target. And I do agree with you 1,000,000,000%, Jesse. 99.99% of most hexagon people that have been around for at least a year and a half have a pretty damn decent idea of what this ecosystem is. So
what narrative will you roll with to onboard people into PulseChain?
What I want to see is what comes out at the end of the gate, so I can actually weigh the ponies to pick what the narrative is. Because what I can say is that the more hexagon ideal ecosystems that are being built are better educated, technically better funded because they're all better hexagons, and will build a paradigm that folds back into the hex ecosystem, which is the GOAT. The T-share. Everyone that just talks about HEX without including the T-share. HEX inherently is just a train ticket to get on the steam engine train. If you hold it loosey-goosey liquid, it's worth nothing, just like any other utility, security, or anything. Holding the T-share is the most important paradigm of the RHMax ecosystem. And I think a lot of us understand that versus a lot of the other people that are uneducated. But I do agree with you, Jesse. We need to understand what that new narrative is, but we also have to see what comes out of the gate on what we're getting, what we're doing, and the utility. We can still say the narrative that Ethereum didn't launch with a DEX, with all the other benefits at the same time and the same gate. That is that we still have that.
So I'm going to ask you a quick question, if you don't mind. Not as advanced as you guys, but being on stream with the four of you, I think some of the viewers probably think I'm pretty smart. So Jesse, let me ask you this: like, what would you tell me that the narrative for Matic is? Like, what's their narrative? Why? And I'm not trying to sidetrack the conversation, but
no, it's a good question.
Yeah.
So I'm going to roll this into a narrative using Matic as an example of what I've already told people before, why people should come to PulseChain. People need to listen very carefully, because I'm not not flooding PulseChain. We just have to have the right narrative, right?
Agree.
So if you
Agree.
if you look at Matic, you'll find that it was a side chain that's faster, but not necessarily more trustless than Ethereum. Actually, the exact opposite. For the longest time, their official bridge, had admin keys, and they didn't unless you looked, you didn't see that. Like they hid that fact from the community, and then somebody's like, "Well, wait a minute. Of course they have admin keys, but they also had the ability with their keys for the team themselves to just drain all the money, right? Which is like, well, you don't need that kind of admin key. That's not the type of admin key. It's okay to have admin keys in certain things, but not that type, right? And they hid that from the community for the longest time. So then there was some other weird stuff that was going on when people were donating for, they had like a big fundraiser they were trying to do for, to save people from COVID in India. And then all of a sudden, they had a huge, giant, multi-million-dollar marketing budget, and there was no money going towards the thing that they raised the money for. And it was like, well, okay, that's kind of shady. And there's just weird, bad stuff going on. And they launched empty. Mm-hmm. Now, launching an empty chain with the narrative of, hey, we're here to relieve pressure off of your chain doesn't work the way people think. You can't just be cheaper and faster and then have no liquidity pools. Mm-hmm. Because what ends up happening is your liquidity pools, as people bridge things in, your liquidity pools are so damn thin that the slippage or the price impact that you face on those liquidity pools just overrides any gas savings that you had. Because you go and you do $100 purchase and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, I had, 20% slippage because that liquidity pool is so thin. Okay. So then you're like, well, I might as well have just stayed on ETH because there's no tokens over here. Okay. And then there's arbitrage, and the people who make all the money on that chain are the arb bots that the smart devs have built. So it's literally, I'm not saying it's a scam to launch an empty chain, but when you launch an empty chain, it has its own problems. It has cheaper gas usually, but more slippage.
It doesn't have the Lindy effect that you were talking about earlier at the beginning of the stream, and that's the inherent paradigm. Is the Lindy effect of having the longest tail is very, very, very important.
Yeah, all the economic value normally always flows right back to the thing that's been around the longest. Mm-hmm. All right. So then what do? Well, then you compare that to how PulseChain is launching. Now, PulseChain's been delayed for a really long time. And we can all be frustrated and say, we wish we had updates. Richard, what's going on? And he tells us, oh, I'm not telling you. Okay, I'll just.
I don't care. I don't want updates. I don't want any more updates.
What it's given us is an opportunity to build a lot of things that will be available immediately when the chain goes live. Mm-hmm. You didn't find that on Matic Chain or Phantom Chain or Avalanche Chain or any of these other chains that exist. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're gonna have 180 protocols,
a full ecosystem
within the first month. Full stock liquidity pools ready to go so people can come and play. And that's not something that's ever been seen before. Mm-hmm. And if people like to play with their tokens that they already get copied over, now we know how that normally goes. A lot of those are just going to dump down and go to zero. Okay, cool. Because that's just going to pump pulse anyway when people do that. But if they want to play around with their coins, come on over and play. Try to get some value out if you want, okay? Extract value. But you'll probably get really excited about all the things that are surrounding you on the chain, and you'll stick around. So I am extremely bullish on PulseChain because it is still doing something that's never been done before. Even if you compare it to ETH Fair and ETHW, well, those launched with clones of everything, and there are a handful of protocols building over on those chains. But it's not a full, complete ecosystem like we have from the hexagons that are building stuff.
And I'm not excited about ETHW. It doesn't excite me. I don't wish it to fail. I don't I mean, I guess I hope it does well because I've got a bunch of coins over there, a bunch of stakes. But I'm, you know, I'm just, I don't know the right word, but that doesn't matter to me. I am super excited about PulseChain for the same reasons you mentioned. I'm excited for all the stuff that's going to be there. I'm excited for the lower fees. I'm excited for watching other people dip their toe in and find out that it's actually a wonderful place. I know it's going to be. I, got together with RHMax and a bunch of guys on Sunday night, and the energy that we all had. We have a dance. We all did a dance. We're gonna be posting that soon. We did a little dance.
Dance,
It's
Jerry.
exciting.
I need to
But
see
I
it.
mean, I don't know if you ever saw the Ethereum guys dance on stage, but we're a lot better looking, a lot more skills. We have a lot more skills than they do. But I'm super bullish too. And I appreciate the narrative. That's a good one. I don't know all the stuff you do, but I appreciate
You
that.
know enough, sir. You know enough. Don't set yourself short, sir. You have it. Because from big brains, small brains, don't know anything, want to learn more. The community is the other part what Jesse was talking about, not just the projects, the community. And we all teach each other up. So don't sell yourself short. Everything you said is good.
That's great. I wanted to, say thank you, Jesse, for your words in the beginning of the stream. And I think you said, win hearts and minds. I'm going to tell a little story about myself. I like politics because I kind of liked controversy. And I don't take it personally, but, in my early days with Facebook, I really destroyed a lot of relationships online because of politics. I didn't necessarily like a certain party over the others, but I like to watch people get pissed off. And it really was kind of, I don't want to use the word sick, but there was something really distorted with my thinking. And, I show up here and, I got into HEX crypto, early 2021. And I've watched some behavior and I've made a decision that I'm not going to say anything negative on Twitter or anything. I'm not going to get into it with anybody. And it's really nice to hear you talk about that. And one person that's very special to me that I've heard talk and teach us how to behave. I mean, because some of us need the education because we grew up in a world that wasn't online. So our online behavior, I needed help. And people like Funding Jim, that's who I was talking about. He's explained, articulated, the importance of, like you said, Jesse, and being inviting to other communities and other people and other cryptos. And I remember when Luna crashed and people are laughing at the guys, ha ha, you lost all your money. It's like, oh my God, I've lost a lot of money when I first got into crypto. It's not fun. HEX saved my ass. If it wasn't for HEX, I might not even be in crypto anymore. Mm-hmm. But I just really appreciate those words because I love the community. RHMax, he knows how much I like meeting people, and I'm an extrovert, and everybody has a story, of their life, and I love to hear about everybody's story, and so that's what I like about the community, along with the money I've made, and I was able to sacrifice for Pulse and PulseX. It's super exciting, but yeah, I like the words. That I like to talk about, the technical stuff, but I also like to talk about, I wrote it down, win hearts and minds, man. I love it. Thank you.
And before RH kicks us all off, the one other message and paradigm to put another feather into what Jesse was saying, we actually have the opportunity to make PulseChain, build PulseChain, actually be fundamental in creating and sculpting what it will become. And we don't have that opportunity in Ethereum. The Ethereum Foundation already has all the things, already has everything in play, and already has backhanded deals probably with all sorts of stuff. Again, look at DAI, Coinbase. We now have the chance, just like Jesse was saying, to not only have all the projects, but be fundamental in actually putting our hands doing the work and actually getting up there and doing it. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, if nothing else, I mean, it's 1 + 1. If you want to make a lot of money, you come to networks that are launching with huge communities, diehard fans, and they already have a ton of capital in them. Mm-hmm. And it's unreasonable to think it wouldn't succeed. Like that is the winning combination. come
Mhm.
come to PulseChain and make all the money you want in the world. That's the message to me. If nothing else, if you don't want the community, if you don't want all the cool projects, if you don't want the utility, come here to make money. I mean, if nothing else, if that's your interest, why not?
Agreed.
Before we wrap up, because we got 3 gentlemen, so there's no magic number game this time. You're all just getting dropped, but you get to say your piece beforehand, of course. So sorry, Jess, you don't get another chance to survive, but I have faith you might have survived it. One GIF survived like 3 times the other day, so that was something special.
GIF is the man. GIF is the man.
There you go. But there's a question from Anthony Munez. Any updates on Power City and development?
Yeah. So first off, join the Twitter, t.me/PowerCityIO. For Telegram, same for Twitter, PowerCityIO. Right. So we have been playing on testnet with the amplifier, which is a front end for liquid loans, which allows it's such a beautiful thing because you can go in there and there's so many functions. Some of them you can click one button and it claims all your rewards from every available pool. So if you're in the staking pool or stability pool and you want both those rewards, guess what? You could do it right from the homepage. Claim all rewards. Bam. All those rewards show up in your wallet. Okay. Instead of having to go to this tab and then go to a different tab to claim your other rewards, you just get them all in one transaction, right? It's got stuff like that. It's also got things you can do where you can tell the protocol, hey, I want my rewards to get claimed automatically, and I want them converted and put into this other thing over here, right? So if you're accumulating USDL in the staking pool, you can tell the protocol, hey, I want it to claim those rewards. I want it to convert that into more loan tokens or something and drop that in the other pool. And the protocol will just do it for you automatically. It's an auto compounder, and compounding is very, very powerful, especially when it just does it right by itself. And gives you time to go do other things with your life. Okay, so that thing is awesome. The Pixel Park NFT platform will have more options available to content creator, to collection creators than any NFT platform you've ever seen. First off, it's a beautiful protocol, and it literally has choices inside there when you build your collections that you do not see anywhere else on any platform. And we're keeping that close to our chest, what those things are, because literally, if I told you right now, all the other NFT platforms, which there are 4 of them or something launching on PulseChain, they would go, why did we not think of that? And they would go off and they would build those things, right? So it will literally be awesome. And we have this lockup mechanism for Pulse, where earlier I talked about thick liquidity, how the dollar has infinite liquidity. And it's like, well, what happens with most cryptos is you have just a small available amount, right, in the liquidity pools, in the uni pools, or you have to go to multiple places, and maybe you get 10 or 20 or $30 million worth of, exit liquidity at any one given time. But how do you build something that has infinite liquidity as close to $1 as you can get, where you can go anywhere you want and it's tradable, right? So we literally built a first of a kind swapping protocol that captures the liquidity and it retains it inside the protocol as people are doing the swap. They're actually minting the coin, but the thing you're swapping with is Pulse. So it doubles as a lockup mechanism for Pulse. And what happens when people buy Pulse and they lock it up? The price goes up, right? So it's got all sorts of secondary benefits to the ecosystem, just because of the way it works. So it's all very exciting. Please go to the Twitter and follow us and check it out.
Awesome. Thanks for that. That is pretty cool. Secondary mechanisms, just hidden fundamentals, just throughout all the PulseChain projects. I love this community. So cool. All right. On the way out, we'll go around the top. Graphics wants PulseChain price predictions. So price predictions, and then show your stuff, and we'll go into the next panel. Jesse, you want to go first?
If you dig hard enough, you'll find me in a stream saying 250x within 90 days. Now, I'm not always right about everything.
It's not ludicrous to say, but anyone that says price predictions, it's all pulling at straws. But it's not ludicrous to say, sir.
I don't think it's too crazy either.
Most blockchains that launch empty do a 250x.
Don't disagree.
All the way up to hundreds of x, 800x, 1200x within the first year and a half, and they launch empty. We're not launching empty. And the closer we get to this thing launching, and everybody starts to become bullish when people realize, oh, finally, that's that V3, and everyone starts getting excited, and the community starts to come back together again. Okay, and then it starts to grow. There are probably going to be well over 100,000, 200,000 people that missed out on PulseChain sacrifice that will be FOMOing in as early as they can so that they don't get left behind. And what does that do to the price? That makes the price go up.
Boom.
Now, how fast it goes down, I mean, I have no idea. I think a 250x in 90 days is possible. Will it stay there? I think people will be trying to take profits along the way.
Yeah.
I hope Liquid Loans and Power City and some other protocols are providing other methods for you to extract value in the form of loans and so on and so forth, so you don't have to sell your coins. So I don't know.
If we do a
10,000x,
if we do a 10,000x in the first 90 days, it's been nice knowing you all. I'm gonna get that island. Let me get that island. Jesse, where can people find you?
Go follow Power City IO on Twitter, or follow myself. Just ask Jesse on Twitter.
Beautiful, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. There probably won't be a next round. This panel's been around for a while. So we'll see you on the next one, man. Always good to talk to you. All right, Kool-Aid. What's your prediction?
So the price really doesn't matter. You have to look at 2 years, no touchy, right? If Bitcoin, which apparently is Bitcoin birthday day, has only been 13 years. ETH's been around 6 years, so 6-7 years. So if you take 2 years, no touchy in Ethereum, and you got it 15 cents, and you did 3 cycles of that, you would be a god whale if you put $1,000 in. Fucking 15 cents. So instead of looking at price, look at time. Time is the only thing you can't get back. Time is the most important commodity, and time is the one thing that you regret not doing something, pro and con. So instead of looking at what a price is, because we only invest in price because we pay in price. Those of us have been around long enough, we think in T-shares because we earn T-shares. So instead of looking at what the price will be, look at what the utility will be in the time amount on what you have and what you got in on, whether it was SAC or you've got dry powder waiting for day one launch after post bridge. Or I don't recommend ratio trading in the beginning. If you are not very, very skilled at that, those back in the day of Ether Delta got wrecked by accidentally put a decimal in the wrong place and boop, all your money gone. So look at the time. Just like Richard says, time in the market, not timing the market. What Jesse says is not wrong. Look at EOS. Look at AntShares to Neo, the Ethereum killer, right? That didn't go so well, but many of Chain have done just fine on launch. The question is, are you happy with the 250x and getting out? Or are you in it for the long haul? Scrape a little cream off the top in the beginning, set yourself up to not have to be struggling and working around the clock. But then after that, realize that knowledge is the most expensive token and time is how you apply that knowledge.
There will be a redistribution around hundreds of X's. That's going to be interesting because we haven't had, it's been set in stone for a while. Right? We've had the stack balances. We know what everyone's going to get. 90 days, 180 days, 365 days. That's when some redistribution could happen depending on price performance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I do not share where you can find me. I cameo first time on your stream, dear friend. I do enjoy your streams, and the good Master Gift will speak on my set. So all of you have a fantastic one, and have a great evening.
Thanks, Cooley. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
See you again. All right, Jerry. It's all up to you.
Wow.
Price prediction?
Price predictions are a lot of fun. But I'm going to do something better. I'm going to give some advice, financial advice.
Ooh, that's something
do not
don't do here.
Give up your PHEX and your PulseX if you miss the Pulse sacrifice. PulseX is going to do great. It's going to surprise a lot of people, and I think PHEX is going to do well. We've heard for how many months now? A year. How Pulse is the one everybody's going to want, and that's the one everybody's talking about. But do not give up your PulseX and your PHEX for cheap to get in on Pulse. Figure out a way to DCA in, and you'll be fine. That's all I'm going to say to that. And if you want to find me, I'm a lot of fun. I'm on Instagram, Unplugged Dad. I'm a single father. I'm going to start some content gearing towards men that have been divorced and trying to navigate their life after divorce and figure out how to live a fulfilling life. So if you want to follow me there on Twitter, I'm Jerry Oaksmith, and say hi. I'm a lot of fun, and Max is a lot of fun, and I'll be dropping some videos. I'll be dropping some videos on my Unplugged Dad. It's not Unplugged, it's Unplugged Dad on Instagram, and you're going to see
such a fun name.
You're going to see RHMax's muscles. You're going to see his arms. He's ripped, man. So if you want to check it out, come over and request a follow, and I'll follow you back.
Proud. I'm excited for the money guy, man. We took so many takes. You're going to get some cool remix videos of the Prada Richard Hart stuff. I have faith in Jerry. It's going to be incredible. So, and he's going to post on Instagram. So yeah, make sure you follow him on there. And I'm going to share it. That's what you do on Instagram, right? You share stuff. I'm new to Instagram. So yeah. All
right, brother. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
UFO says super chat for a burnout, Jerry. They want you to floor it safely.
What's that?
He says super chat for a burnout. I think they want you to floor it, get out of there, and go home and relax.
I am home. I sent my kids in. Let me quick little story.
Okay.
I didn't know you were going to be on with this, and I was like, okay, I'm joining. So I changed my whole plan. I went to Costco. I picked up one kid, went to Costco, grabbed a pizza, was eating in the car. One kid was eating back. Then I went and picked the other kid up after soccer. He's, I'm like, don't talk. We're on live, so it's a lot of fun. So they went inside, and they're excited because they get extra cartoons right now and don't have to jump right into homework. So they have no complaints. Yeah.
Max helping children out with extra cartoons. I'll take it. All right. Cool, man. It's good
to
see you.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, take it easy. I'll see you later.
Yeah, have a good night.
Good night. All right. This is the last segment of the show. Is it the best for last? I don't know. It's been a pretty good show so far. Let's bring back in PulseStream. He's been patiently waiting for about 40 minutes.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Good to be back.
Crypto Winner Bull also very patiently waiting. You are back.
Thank
sir.
you.
You have got your wish. You're back. And we have one more gentleman here. One more. It's the GIF. Welcome back to the show, sir.
What's going on? How do I sound? Am I all good?
Sound good.
You sounded great. Great. You can record a rap video right now in your studio. That's how good you sound.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Hey, Max may have some music coming up. Just throwing it out there.
I want to hear it.
I gotta get my guys making a music video right now. So
all right,
I will drop that. Not an album, but just there may be a song coming out eventually.
I like the sound of that.
I hope everyone likes the sound of it. That would be great if they did. We'll see. I think there's a couple of Hedron questions. Shoot, I got to scroll up. But in the meantime, somebody asked some question. Oh yeah, I'll scroll. I'm gonna post one question and I'm gonna scroll up and get to the other ones. But I've had so many. Frosty Dog Hedron. Yeah, they've been waiting on. Oh, I actually, while I'm scrolling up, Crypto Winter Bull had a question. You want to bring up, right? You want to talk to get thoughts on something?
Yeah. So I was kind of thinking last night about ways that you could build your position in the Icosa Hedron staking pool. One of the things I was kind of thinking is if you have a decent amount of Hedron, you could separate that into maybe a separate wallet. So you have two wallets now. One wallet is your main wallet, and then you have a second wallet, and then you kind of scoop your yield from the smaller wallet, and then redistribute the Icosa into the Icosa staking pool on your large wallet that you're not touching. You don't plan on staking that. And another thing you could do is also sell some of that Icosa for Hedron, and then kind of go like 50-50, put 50% of your Icosa into your kind of unstakeable wallet that you have set aside, and then put the Hedron into the Hedron staking pool on the other wallet to kind of build your position over time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what you're doing right there is you're implementing the waterfall strategy, right? That's something I was talking about a while ago there. Before Icosa launched, one thing that we learned early on was that, you only get one stake per wallet, right? One Hedron stake or one Icosa stake per wallet. And as we know, there's no maximum time limits on how long you can stake, but there are minimums based on your relation to either the total supply or the total coins there. So what that begs you to do is it begs you to come up with strategies on, how can I implement my strategy in the most opportune way? And one way to do that is to use multiple wallets, right? So strategies could be different, right? The waterfall method is just a method, and that's just using multiple wallets in order to implement your strategy, right? So there could be many different strategies, but what you're talking about there is definitely a waterfall strategy, which is basically saying I'm going to take one wallet and I'm going to manipulate that so that I'm staying within a certain minimum staking period, right? Whereas I'll have another wallet that maybe that strategy is to keep my position within the staking pool, like not get diluted. Because in these two pools, as larger players come in and they start creating new stakes, right? Maybe they're not getting the same deal in points that you got because you got in first, right? And the T-share keeps ratcheting up. But they're able to go in with a lot of capital, right, to counteract that. So always having a wallet where you're dumping your yield into and adding points, and that's resetting your minimum stake link, yes. But the whole strategy of that is to kind of hold your position within that pool, right? Try to keep the same percentage of rewards on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, absolutely. Now, what strategy, do you want to use? What strategy should you use? That's completely on you. You got to come up with the strategy you want to do. I don't think there's a whole lot of bad strategies. I think one thing you want to try to avoid is the whole swapping tokens. You don't want to do that too often, right? It should be more of a bringing capital in sort of a scenario. It's like if I'm bringing new capital in, where do I want to put it? Where's my weakness right now? And then I'm going to attack that. But it's really hard in this sort of awesome kind of positive feedback loop system we're working in Hedron, HEX, and Icosa. It's hard to start moving your pieces around within there because you actually can hurt your wallet that way. So my only recommendation is look at where your stance is on HEX, where your stance is on Icosa and Hedron, and wherever you're weak, that's where your new capital could potentially flow in order to kind of shore up your position. Does that kind of make sense? Does that help at all?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I just wanted to maybe reiterate that, just run it past you, just because I just thought of it and I didn't kind of realize that it was a similar strategy to what you're talking about. Maybe for new people that didn't hear in the past about how to build your position over time, it would have been helpful. I have a second question too about the HSI buybacks. So let's say you make an HSI stake today at the current T-share rate, and then you say 5 years goes by, and you want to sell that HSI to the Icosa contract. Would the contract take into account how much HEX would be accumulated on that, or is it just based on the principal amount and then the current T-share rate?
There's going to be a couple of things that's going to play a factor in. Number one, holding a stake long term and then eventually selling it to the Icosa contract might not be beneficial. There's going to be a lot of factors that are going to come into play there, right? The main thing to keep in mind is that the T-share rate is wrapped into that equation twice, right? So the first time is locked in. So when you created that HEX stake, that HSI, it locks in the T-share rate that day, right? Which is translated into how much borrowable Hedron you can get from that stake. That's the first side of the equation that will dictate how much Icosa you get. The second side is the day you go in to sell that HSI, it's then using the HEX share rate on that day, which if it's 10 years down the road, I mean, what are we averaging, Max? It's like 12,000 a year. It goes up, the HEX share rate.
Is that what? Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds right. About right.
Somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
Maybe
So,
the T-share rate will be 100,000 by then, or
yeah, and then at that point, man, it's like, hopefully, it's not a scenario where something like just, life happens and you're like, I just got to get the money. It's better than an early end stake where you haven't served 50% of your time. Trust me, like that, you're going to get a lot more from that than if you had to emergency end stake. But it's still a scenario where if you're trying to sell to the contract in order to receive your Icosa, it's always best that it's a brand new HSI that you just created that day. The sole intention is to sell to the contract to get Icosa, right? Because market conditions say, hey, it's a good time to do that because people have bought up the Icosa price and it's above the ceiling, right? So you're like, okay, so it's a good day to do that. Otherwise, it's just market buys. So
yeah,
hopefully that
makes sense.
Real quick, let me get one more gentleman on the stream. We broke the rules. Sloth's in the house. Welcome.
Oh,
yes,
no!
yes.
So
That's right, Max. You break the rules for me.
I did. And I was like, he shows up last 15 minutes. I'll have 5 people on the screen. Nobody can see us. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Thanks for having me on. Sorry, I was at I just got back from jiu-jitsu, so I'm here before I'm eating dinner just for you, Max. And for you
I appreciate
guys.
that, man.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu. That's right. You do jiu-jitsu. That's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
I never did
We can
that.
do it sometime, Max.
That's right, Connor. Yeah, man. We gotta do a meetup sooner, man. We gotta do a meetup. It's been too long. Connor missed the last one. And I was like, I was looking for, man. Oh, I don't want to talk about how good it was, but it was that bowling. That bowling event was pretty awesome. You would have had a lot of fun, but we'll have even more better ones too. Don't worry. But yeah, so if you ever visit Pacific Northwest, man, we know how to meet.
I'll hit you up.
Trust me, we know how to meet up. UFO to go. Let's hit a couple questions real quick. Staking Icosa is a HEX stake on steroids. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I see what they're saying. Because like theoretically, if Icosa tracks its ceiling price, then like you're also gaining HEX while you're just holding Icosa, and you're gaining more Icosa, which is gaining more HEX. So it's like your principal is yielding HEX and your yield is yielding HEX all at the same time. And like at least what was the word? How do I phrase this correctly? Normally, when you hold liquid HEX, you're getting diluted by the T-share rate. But if this premise holds, Icosa holding its ceiling price, then you're actually not getting diluted as the T-share rate's going up. The value of your token is tracking the T-share rate. But the big premise there is like if it's tracking the ceiling. So if it ever breaks, then that's no longer true. But the mechanism in place to get it back to the ceiling or to push momentum to get it back to the ceiling is the staking incentives, as well as the HSIs on the liquidation option. Like all of those things kind of together, if it ever breaks, means that people who are bullish long-term on Icosa have an opportunity to accumulate it faster than they normally would have if it was at the ceiling price.
Yeah.
Well, Gift's
And there's
talked about
incredible
too,
ARB opportunities there as well.
Yep.
That's what I was going to say. Gift has talked about in length about the ARB opportunities, the wicks down and stuff like that.
They're insane.
It's it's crazy. Like the buying it off the market is another way. Like you said, Sloth. Like what are there 2, 3? Like what are the ways to where it keeps that balance of the ceiling?
Oh yeah, so the ceiling basically is held together. Well, it's not held together, but it's definitely capped because of arbitrage. So if the price of Icosa ever goes so high where you can put $1,000 into the market by buying HEX, staking it, and then the Icosa that you can mint from that max stake length is like $1,200, then you immediately profit. So like you put in $1,000, you get $1,200, and you just do that until the price equivalent goes down to where that opportunity is no longer there. So that's pretty strong, which is why it's a ceiling, because it can't go any higher. Anytime it goes higher, it just gets smacked right back down. Now, if it goes lower than the ceiling, then essentially what that means is that, and it's just what I said before, you are able to accumulate more Icosa than if you were to be staking HEX and selling it to the HSI buyback formula, through the HSI buyback feature. So your ability to increase your position within the Icosa staking pool, you're able to increase that at a faster velocity than before, which also means you're able to outcompete those who aren't buying those coins. Because a price dip just means that there are more coins on one side of an LP pair than the other. Like you're adding more coins to one side and the other side staying stagnant or decreasing. And so that opportunity to reach, to get Icosa at a deal relative to the native HSI buyback mechanism is finite, because there are only so many coins that you can buy up until the ratio goes right back to that ceiling price.
Right.
I think that covered it more or less. I don't know, Gift, did I miss anything?
I mean, you didn't miss anything. I look at it a little bit differently, though. I believe, after studying kind of that ceiling, that ARB area over a certain amount of time, it's becoming more and more obvious. It's more of a supply and demand threshold, because just because somebody uses the Icosa contract to sell their HSI and receive Icosa does not in and of itself drop the price. They have to then go on the market and sell it, right? So that is introducing more supply to the market to meet the demand. And when it overtakes the demand, when the supply overtakes the demand and the sell pressure then kicks in, that's when it goes down below that area, right? And then in theory, what is supposed to happen is when it's down and it's low, the supply stops hitting the market. People stop selling their HSIs for Icosa and introducing new tokens into the system, more inflation, right?
Yep.
But what's interesting is what we have seen when those last 2 dips that we have seen in Icosa, people did not stop selling their HSIs to the Icosa contract. On the biggest dip that we got on I guess it's not last month now. Wasn't it in September 20 something?
I'll look it up while you.
I'm sure I got a chart somewhere here. Well, on that date, when it took a 40% discount, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was 36 HSIs sold to the contract.
Yeah.
On that day, like that. So that would probably explain why it took 2 days to get back up to that same area. Is the market had to overtake the new supply that was being dished out, even when the price was below the ceiling price.
Wait, but not every. So it's like, every time you sell an HSI, that's new inflation, but not all of that inflation necessarily hits the market, right? So like, just because a coin's inflating doesn't mean the price is going down necessarily. No. So like, were those HSIs, like, do you know if those HSIs that were being sold that Icosa hit the market? You probably don't.
I got through about 10 to, or no, actually, yes, I do. There was of the 36, there was 14 that were sold on the market that was clearly using some sort of bot or scripting technique, because it basically pumped out 14 HSIs and sold to the contract and then sold on the market almost immediately.
And they sold those for a loss?
Pretty wild.
They sold those for a loss? Okay, so that's just people being stupid. that's just people not running.
No, because it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Because it doesn't make sense. That does not. The whole point of the system is to incentivize people to stop selling them on the market and wait for the market to come back. Let the demand, equilibrate.
Yeah.
And so I find this to be super bullish news. This is bullish news. I was slightly sweating some bullets watching it hanging below that threshold for 2 straight days. Like I figured, this is gonna take a couple hours, and this is gonna be right back up there. But there was some sell pressure involved there as well. So, and it was the first legitimate dip that we've seen in Icosa from that area.
First
so
one.
that's always gonna worry everybody. Everybody's gonna start watching it like crazy.
Well, we just need more data. It hasn't been that long. I mean, it's been 2 months, 3 months, maybe.
Yeah.
We still have some big data coming out, and that's like day 180, day 270, and day 360. So like most of the chart that we're seeing right now is a reflection of the formula, the rate that you can get the HSI buyback, the Icosa via the HSI buyback mechanism. But once we start getting inflation from the staking mechanism of people unlocking their stakes, that's when we start to kind of dilute the power of the HSI buyback ratio.
But wait, before we jump on that too fast, there's this dichotomy that we always have a hard time like wrapping our heads around with Icosa Hedron staking. And that is, there is a minimum, not a maximum, right? Yep. People still ask all the time in Telegram, you know this, they ask all the time, like, hey, I want to stake for a year, but it's only letting me stake 30 days. It's like, no, that's your minimum. That's your minimum. Just keep them in there. You will still get yield every day, right? You just, right? So
that's funny.
So the idea of this extra inflation coming in on day 180 is going to be very we shouldn't plan on that happening. I don't think we should plan on that happening. I think you're going to see a lot of people, take advantage of that to try to sell off their Icosa for some gains or use their Hedron or whatnot. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but the largest stakers, I would bet, just keep them in there, especially people using the waterfall strategy, because it does not incentivize you to wreck your waterfall strategy to pull out and sell $100 in gains or even $1,000 in gains or whatever. You wreck your whole strategy once you do that.
Well, I said the other day too. I don't know why I'd even pull it out. Like once the stake's in, like why would I pull it out and getting great yield? It doesn't make any sense. Why, unless I literally need the money for something, why wouldn't I just leave it in? For at least
the time when
a lot longer than minimum.
I think it's going to actually kick in is when we see a serious price run. When we see a serious price
that's a good
run,
question.
That's going to mean that we have some serious demand coming into the market, and this sell-off is going to help quelch the demand that's coming in. It's not going to drop the price from the ceiling. It's going to quelch the demand that's going insane. So it's either going to come from that or it's going to come from the buyback system, right?
Can you just reiterate on that? Like I guess the question would be, what would cause people to in their stakes or unstake and mint their rewards and all that stuff? What would have to? Is there a couple scenarios that would have to happen? I think you touched on one.
Yeah, price run up. Price run up where you already served your minimum. Yeah. That is where the majority of the inflation is going to come in when we're talking about inflation coming from the bonuses of the staking pools.
Yeah. Oh, I got a good one that I've been thinking about. Some kind of liquidity whale games you could be playing, and I thought would be pretty cool to see if it ever happens. So it's like, I talk a lot about the HEX to Icosa liquidity pool and how it's kind of like a really cool pool to provide liquidity for, because there's so many of the unknowns that come along with liquidity providing are knowns in the HEX Icosa pool, in that we can theoretically predict when prices should move up, when the ratio of the two coins should shift. That's not really always known in like a HEX to Hedron pair or even like a USDC pair. We have a mechanism to predict that theoretically in the HEX Icosa. Now, one potential problem with providing liquidity in this pair is, say Icosa fails hypothetically in like a parade of imaginary horribles, you end up with all the Icosa and none of the HEX, and HEX is the thing that's valuable. And so the question is like, how could you like provide liquidity to this pair while minimizing your risk of losing any HEX? Because if you provide liquidity at a certain ratio, you have to provide both of those coins at both sides at that specific ratio. If you provide single-side liquidity, you have to provide outside of that range in order to only get native risk, in order to only risk one side of the tokens. And so it's like, if we're at a certain ratio and I wanted to yield my liquid Icosa without staking it in the actual staking pool, but I wanted to stake it in this pool, but I didn't want to risk any of my HEX, how would I do that? Well, one thing somebody could do with a large stake, a Icosa stake, is unstake that large stake, say it's like a big whale stake, 360 days, sell down the Icosa HEX ratio so that it's now below that ratio, and then put in, and then they've gotten HEX out of that because of that. But now since the ratio is below where the ceiling price is, they can put just all of the Icosa that they got from their stake into that at that ratio without having to risk any HEX, and then wait for people to buy it back up or buy it back up themselves with the HEX that they just got. So now that they've added a liquidity position that is liquid, which is a big difference between the Icosa staking natively, because there's a lockup period. So you're getting liquid yield without having to risk any HEX that way.
For sure. And you could just play that game just by watching the t-shirt rate ratchet up too, without even having to sell it down in the first place. You could you could just take your one-sided liquidity and set it in the sorry, you guys can't see it, there's a gnat attacking my face. But that's not my normal hand movements. But
you
you
usually
just wait
talk like
for
this when you're walking.
You just wait until like, say, okay, it's going up in the next 30 days. Let me just put it there and then wait till it gets there. That's another way to do it too.
Oh yeah, and that is just so stress free. Like you just you're just go visit our buddy's site at hexfire.io and you know, our buddy Crispy there, and go check out that chart. Like if you're somebody who's trying to buy up a lot, I mean, or sell, if you're trying to sell a lot, right? There's a lot of excellent, like Jesse talks about this a lot too. There's a lot of excellent ways to responsibly get in and out of crypto without moving the chart much. Like and just as this community gets more tenured over time, like it, you know, we're gonna be unstoppable. I mean, we're learning
see those
all the
huge
right
sells. Is HEX going to be out of business? We're not gonna see any like crazy moves like that in the future. Well, there'll always be new people. I think we should always want that to happen, because that means new people are coming in, right? Where it's kind of getting recycled. New people are coming in, they're learning, they're graduating. And then, you know, we have like the new recruits coming in. They got to learn how to use liquidity to buy and sell and stuff like that. So alpha is simmering in everyone's mind right now, but we got to simmer down because we have one more question. Because I've heard 2 knocks at my door. I dare not be a third one. Graphic says his question's been up here for a while. Graphic says, what do you just foresee happening in the cycles of yield? We may see November 13th, 90, 180, 270 days after the first auctions. What do y'all think?
I think it all depends on the demand for HEX HSI stakes. Like maybe in the future, the only way that you could get into a HEX stake is through buying it off of auction, because you could potentially get a good discount. So I think it really all depends on what the market is like in the next year or so. But I think the yield will be good at first, and then it might kind of wean off as demand goes down, and then pick back up if we get like a macro event or something like that. So I think it just all depends on what happens in the market.
Nice. Yeah, we'll let this be the last word for everyone too. What do you think, Connor? Oh shit, I said your name.
Yeah, when those
stream.
When those auctions start, oh, it's all good, man. This is the only place I'm ever gonna show my face. Talk to you about that. But
okay.
It's gonna be nuts. I've heard some people throwing around numbers that make my mind hurt, like 25% a day and stuff. And I don't know. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Yeah, I'm super bullish on Icosa. I've done some math. I have a spreadsheet for it. It's on one of my videos. But the way the Icosa price tracks a B share is insane. We're talking like, you know, $2 HEX, $180 Icosa type stuff. It's stupid. It is insane. I can't wait.
Wow. All right, Sloth Gift, what do you guys got?
Well, first, let me just say thanks for making the correlation between Icosa and the B share. I appreciate that. I've been preaching that for a long time.
Yeah.
So big ups to you, my man. Secondly, I would say there's like 2 things you could look at. You can look at what you think should happen, with these you know, the 90 days, 180, 270, what should happen and what probably is going to happen, right? I think those are two very different things. What I think should happen is that you're not going to see that many of these HSIs get recycled immediately, because people will be trying to take profits and they're going to dump the Icosa price down, and then they're going to be responsible and real smart, right? And they're going to just, if they want to take profits, they're going to take those HSIs, they're going to sell them on a marketplace somewhere, a third-party marketplace, and just discount them 5-10%, right? That's a smart way to do it. And then as the Icosa price reaches equilibrium again, then maybe they'll recycle them back in the system. And what does that do? That takes days, weeks, whatever, however much time it may be. And then we're going to start getting a more like equilibrium in terms of how many HSIs hit the auction every day, right? It's going to smooth it all out, because right now we've got a massive tidal wave coming through on the 13th, and then a bunch of kind of smaller ones that kind of ripple effect on its way out, right? And I foresee as time goes on that it's going to kind of even out a little bit. So that's what I think should happen. Now, what's probably going to happen, is people are probably going to lose a ton of money recycling them in the system. That's probably what's going to happen. Go for it, Slav.
Yes to all of that. You'll see.
Remove. No.
You'll see a percentage of these HSIs being sold back immediately once people get them, but the amount that happens will continuously decrease with each iteration. So every 90 days, like it'll actually be pretty fun to track. Like maybe we could like set up something where it's like tracking all of the HSIs that have continuously been sold over and over, like on like these are the Genesis HSIs that have never actually like hit the market or like have been held by anybody for more than a day because they've just been constantly sold to the liquidation auction. Which is pretty cool because that's just like iterations of burning Hedron, iterations of generating yield. And so it's like the same Quattro Cinco stake can like continuously vitalize the ecosystem 4 times a year, basically. It's like how you kind of do it. But yeah, it'll basically say it's like 50% on this first time, 90 days later. Then after that, it'll be maybe like another 50% of that, which will be like go from 100 to 50 to 25. Like maybe the half-life stays the same, but like the number continuously decreases over time.
I'm very excited. It's November 1st. That's why I want to do the stream today too. I'm like, it's November. We're almost there, baby. We're almost there. We're getting there. It's gonna be great. The next, we really need something to be excited for in the bear market too, and all this stuff. This gives people something to look forward to. You know?
Yeah.
What's up, Sal?
I've been so happy about how many like HSIs still are being sold. Like I'll see like 5-figure HSIs just being chucked in there every once in a while. I'm like, geez, we're like almost 3 months in with like no hype and like at all, and that's $10,000 at like these prices, right? Like so, like we do like a 2x, that's a 20,000. We do a 10x, that's 100,000 stakes, $100,000 that are going through these auctions, burning that amount of Hedron. So like I'm extremely impressed and happy with how well the Icosa system has breathed life into the liquidation auctions.
Hey, Sloth, I really need to know, is HEX going to be at 10 cents when the auctions kick off?
Is it?
Is
this
it?
Is news to me. I hope so. That'd be nice. Is it? I don't know.
I'm gunning for it, man. That's what's going to be what's up.
Who gave you that information? I want to know.
A little birdie said we're going to be seeing 10-cent HEX at launch day.
Are we going to see all-time high Hedron? No.
That's going to be a different play.
Which one's more likely, 10-cent HEX or we break all-time lows, or all-time highs on Hedron?
We break all-time lows.
Hedron.
You know what? What's the chances we break all-time lows as well with Hedron?
Some whale game. Oh, be a heartbreaker.
There's a lot of.
Hedron.
It's computing. Hedron price probably go up. Imagine HEX price probably go up. Sounds like.
I think this event is gonna be interesting to see how it like works with like the typical buy the room or sell the news trade, right? Because this is the first instance where there's a significant amount of volume on the liquidation auction where we have a pseudo liquidity pool that is pairing Hedron and T-shares, right? And so because for the first time we actually have that liquidity being bonded in real time, that's going to put some buy pressure on the chart automatically just because of the deals that could be presented. So yeah, we're going to get traders who are going to be selling the news, but there's going to be a native reason to increase demand at the exact same time. So that may break the traditional buy the rumor, sell the news kind of sell-off. Yeah.
Hey, Max, you got to get at least, let's get us all back together again. Like maybe a day or two after November, like November 14th, November 15th, something like that.
Yes.
I know we keep saying this, but like there's going to be so much data to go through. And Slots mentioned data, and like it'd be cool if we could see like how many of these HSIs like get recycled through the system. And out of nowhere, Dev Huey apparently heard that and popped into the chat there. So I mean, man, you've got that golden whistle, bro.
Golden whistle.
Get people involved.
You know, I get the right people on the stream. I think we've had an excellent panel. I mean, the first panel, the second panel. I mean, I got to cut it short now. I did make a note, schedule stream around that because also in the chat, UFO was talking about it, and I said we had one coming up because I have one with Sloth and Blue Bum, I think, on 100% uptime. And then right after that, we may do a special 100% uptime with GIF and maybe Sloth and maybe Blue Bum as well. So yes, we will be covering it here on RHMax. It's happening. If GIF says he wants to come on, he has some data to share, I will get the gang together and it will happen. And sounds like that's what's going to be the case. So everyone, sorry to get to all the questions in the chat. Chat was killing it today. I tried to scroll up. I got tired of scrolling up. That's how good you all are. I got tired of scrolling up. I don't think it's ever happened before. I've never got tired of scrolling up. It happens today. You maxed me out. You maxed me out today. Appreciate it all. Everyone, shield. Well, here we go. You've already been shielded at Sloth Crypto 3. I like how Sloth's just like he knows what it is. He knows. I'll just put my name. He'll shield me. GIF has the right thing on his. Winter Bull. You want to show yourself again?
Yeah, so I'm Crypto Winter Bull on YouTube and at HEX Winter Bull on Twitter. I post a video every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Try to.
Nice, man. Yeah, go follow him. Check his stuff out. PulseX Dream. What you got, man? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at PulseX Dream, just right there. YouTube, nice. Look up Pulse Stream. I have a few videos. I'm making a series when we officially launch it. I'll be tracking basically what happened if you put $2,000 into PulseX near the beginning. And just rode that for 2 years, doing the single site staking and just compounding. So it'll be fun. Hopefully an experiment for people to learn how to hold on longer. Hopefully I can encourage those videos, people to not sell and kind of follow me through it. And see how long it takes to get going.
Buildle, hodl. That's what we do in the bear market. Work in the bear, retire in the bull.
Yep.
With that, and we're out, everyone. Have a good weekend. Oh, tomorrow, got Did Catcher coming on the show. Did Catcher's coming on. You want to tune in for that? Should be fun. In the morning, actually, 10 a.m. Pacific. Come back for that. But without further ado, panelists, appreciate you all. We are out.